Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about guns and gun cases, and that can be an issue that's pretty personal. Guys get kind of almost wound up about what gun case and who recommends what gun case, and if you don't use their gun case, then they're mad, and I don't understand. It's whatever works.
Yeah.
A lot of guys like a plastic gun case, hard plastic. Pelican makes a really nice one. SKB makes a really nice one. You can buy one at Harbor Freight. It's not that good, but they make one that you can buy that's pretty reasonable. Mine are made by Americase, and unfortunately, Americase a year ago quit making these. They're all aluminum. They don't look like a gun case. They're really thin, and your gun's right in them upright like this. And you can put them in a case or not, but they ride upright like this in there. And so they're side by side in the gun case, which makes it really nice. And it's not easily identifiable as a gun case. The worst thing I ever did was fell for some advertising on a case that was a tough pack, and it's round, and it said, it looks like you're hauling golf clubs to Africa. That case was the biggest pain in my butt that I've ever had. Every single security place wanted to look in it. Everybody wanted to dig through it, and you used to be able to throw coats and shoes and stuff in your gun case. It's like this round case that stands up. And now they won't let you do that. It's just got to be the gun. So now your guns are going to rattle around in there. So I don't know what that did to that company, but it couldn't have been very helpful to them for that law to pass. But I never liked it anyway. And that is the only time I ever took firearms to Africa, that when I got there, they were no longer sighted in.
Right.
And both of my guns were 7 inches high and 8 inches to the right. Left, to the left.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've never had a problem with this. It's got a few dents and dings in it. And I don't know what would happen to a plastic case if it had been hit as hard as this one has. But a lot of guys, there's probably Pelican's the most flown gun case in the world. You go to Africa and there'll be a pile of them. They're 20 of them deep. And like I say, I like these. They got handles all over them, and then they have a positive lock in them when you put them in. I can't really see what I'm doing here, but they have a positive lock that you turn and then shut, and then you put a lock through that. And by law, we'll cover the laws in an upcoming video too. But you have to have this locked and only openable by you. Not TSA locked, but only openable by you. And these just don't come undone by accident. I've seen a lot of gun cases with a latch open. And one of the things too that they do require sometimes is your gun case, wherever there's a hole for a lock, you cover it with a lock. And the problem with the Pelicans are they have 4 lock holes in them. So if you leave them open, and I was told by a guy, a TSA guy, that if we could open your case more than the width of what a common screwdriver would be, we're going to require you to put more locks on it. That it was his personal opinion, I don't know. I was told that. These, you can't crack them open. When they're locked, I mean, you'd play hell getting into this gun case.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, it's a nice case. It's got the D-rings on it like I talked about before, where I can put my luggage on top of it. I got wheels on it. I got a handle to drag it by. And so it works really well. 2 guns will fit in here. I also have a 3-gun. It'll carry 3 guns. And I highly recommend you don't take 3 guns to Africa unless you're in some very special type of thing. You can take 3. 4, I think. I don't know. But you can take, but I don't. We just take 2 guns. We take a gun that she likes. I take a gun that I like. And you can't import 2 guns of the same caliber. Funny law, but you can't take two 270s or 2 30-06s or anything like that. We both lay to the 300 Win Mag side. We both like 300 Win Mags, 300 Short Mag. I've taken my 300 Short Mag a couple of times to Africa. But we got to take different ones. And right now, before this trip, I'm supposed to have a 300 H&H going to be done before we go. That way, I've got a 300 H&H and a 300 Win Mag, and they're very, very close in what they do. We've taken 270s. We've taken 30-06s. We've taken 375 H&H. We take depending on what we're shooting.
Right.
Just for a plains game hunt, 300 Win Mag. I even shot my eland with a 300 Win Mag. It's not really a problem. Bullet means a lot. Maybe someday we'll get somebody in here that's an expert on and talk to them about guns and ammo. But anyway, bullet wise, we've run a lot of bullets in Africa. We've ran Barnes. We've ran Swift, and we've ran Accubons. I'm currently shooting AccuBonds in both of our guns, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And anyway, we do all of our own reloading, and we'll cover some of the how to case that stuff and get it to Africa. It can't be in with your gun. It can in the U.S., but it can't when you leave the U.S. So you're going to have to put that in a separate thing, and we'll cover that. But anyway, the worst performing bullets that we've had in Africa were the Barnes. And I'm not knocking Barnes, because I've shot a lot of game with Barnes bullets. But it seemed like everything needed 2-3 rounds put in it before it hit the ground, and they were righteous good shots.
Right.
And then we went to Swift A-frames. They were kind of that same way. You had to have a lot of energy behind them. If you're shooting something 100, 150 yards, you're good. But you get out there 300, and they just don't expand fast enough on the front end, and you don't get enough expansion out of them. And then we went to the Sirocco, and I have no idea why we're not still shooting Siroccos. Swift Siroccos are a beautiful performing bullet. And then now we're on the AccuBonds, and they're just devastating. There's none of this put one through the lungs and he walked off. You got to put another one in and another one in. And they pretty much don't take it after the first shot. Even Sables and Elands just don't take it. And they're a pretty good good bullet. I'm not saying you can't have a good hunt with Barnes. I've had them. Our first trip to Africa, I shot 8 animals with Barnes. But anyway. That's kind of way we do on bullets. Just give you an idea of what we do. We like I don't like a belt that comes around my waist that has my ammo and shells in it. I like them on my gun, and I put them right here in the same. It's an Uncle Mike's maybe.
I think so.
And it's just a spandex thing that fits on there, and all your rounds fit in there. You don't want to be walking around. Nothing irritates a PH more than having ammo rattling in your pockets, in your shirt pockets, and making noise. And it's not a good deal.
Right.
Sling, take a sling with you. Nylon, leather, whatever you prefer, whatever you hunt with here and you're comfortable with, will work for you in Africa. I beg you, do not take a gun to Africa without a sling on it. Throw it over your shoulder with the barrel. It's very common in Africa for them to carry guns this way. And I cringe when I watch videos on TV, and these guys got a loaded 416 or a 470 nitro, and they're pointing it at every single person in the group like that as they're talking. It just makes me want to scream. You can break a lot of safety rules, but pointing a gun at somebody is not one you can break. No. You can run around with a gun without a safety on it and do whatever you want to. As long as that muzzle's never pointed at anybody, you're not going to have an incident that hurts somebody.
That's right.
So keep that in mind. Don't put that gun. And I don't know what the purpose of it is anyway. It hurts my shoulder. Other than not having a sling on your gun, I guess would be the thing. But it's very common in Africa. And don't get me wrong. There's a lot of PHs I've been with that are very good about that. They will put that gun on your shoulder, but when they're a group talking to you, they will make sure it's turned off the other direction and not. Right. But it is an easy thing to do. It's an easy thing to point when you look at somebody. You point the gun at them. So just keep that in mind on it. We'll cover the ammo and stuff on all these guns and things a little after we get done with this. The case you want, just like any other case, you want to have your identification on it, and then you also want to have identification on it on the inside that's hooked in so it can't get lost, so that somebody knows. And then you have to have locks on your gun that are only openable by you. And I have had a friend that just here last year had his locks cut off of his gun case, and TSA put TSA locks on it. That is against the law, and we'll talk about that a little later too. So what I've always done, and I've never not done it, is I've never had a problem with it, but I've always done it since my first trip to Africa, and I can't even remember who suggested it to me. I put 2 locks on the outside of my gun that I can only open with a key, and then I put locks that are keyed the same, 2 of them to replace, that are open with no key in them, on the inside here, hooked with my pipe cleaners, so that if they do that, they cut them locks off, they open it up and look in there, they go, oh, there's 2 more locks. Because one thing that probably isn't going to happen, if they cut your lock off and they don't have any locks to replace it, your gun's going to stay wherever it's sitting. And they're not supposed to cut them off, but it does happen, and I've heard about it several times, and I had a friend last year have it happen to him. When he got possession of his gun, it had TSA locks on it. So somewhere in the U.S. they locked it up with TSA. But anyway, that pretty much, just want to make sure you have extra locks in there. Make sure you have 1 or 2 places to identify it. These ones here have, I've got room up here. I remove the bolts from my gun, and I put them in a rag. Wrap them with a woman's nylon or a woman's hair tie.
Hair tie, yeah. And
keep them up in here in my top bins. If you got room for your binoculars, like I say, put them in here. But that pretty much, it's a gun case that's like I say, I like the metal ones. A lot of guys don't like them. They like them plastic ones, and that's fine. I've got plastic ones. I had plastic ones. And so anyway, keep that in mind on your gun case, that it's got to be stout and sturdy. It's got to hold up. It's going to get kicked around, beat around. And this one here's done me good. Like I say, you can buy them used. Every once in a while I see one come up used, and they're a good gun. So is there anything we're missing on the other than on your gun? If you're gonna take a gun to Africa, I would rather see you skimp on the firearm than the optics.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go down to Africa with a cheap outfit, go with a $500 or $400 gun and take a $1,000 scope.
Yeah.
Don't go on the cheap, because that is no place to start having problems. And every day when you're out there, something goes wrong. You have to go back to the shooting range or sight something in, or something doesn't work, and now you got to borrow a gun or buy a gun or rent a gun. I mean, so make sure you don't do that. But anyway, we've taken Night Force scopes to Africa. We got Leopolds are on almost everything. We have Leopolds on about everything we do. And I'm not sure why. It's just we have access to them pretty easy, and they've never failed me.
Right.
So anyway, that will cover up the guns and the cases, and I think we got that covered. All right, now we're going to talk about the bullets, your ammo, your shells, and the cases. We'll get into the regulations of this after we do this. But you have to have them in a hard case. They have to go in a hard case. You can put them in something else or whatever, but a hard case. Some places, South African Air was that way, Air Links that way. Emirates did it to us. Yes. They make you if they make you remove this from your. This is supposed to go in your checked bag, and it's got to have 2 locks on it, and these have to be TSA locks. Because TSA has to be able to get into this and see what's in it in your checked on bag. And so what you want to make sure of is it's a hard case. This one here is an aluminum pistol case. It works fine, but again, you can use Pelican, makes one. Harbor Freight actually makes a real nice hard case that will fit ammo. Now like $30 or something stupid.
Yeah, right.
But you want to make sure you have locks, places to lock it. And like I say, ours is a pistol case is basically what it was. Same thing. Put your identification on the outside. Put you some identification on the inside.
Yep.
That way you've got it all covered if something happens. And then, just like in the rifle case, except for buy TSA locks. Put 2 TSA locks on your outside, or 3 or whatever your case takes. And then put 2 on the inside that are unlocked. And with a pipe cleaner, hooking them together and set them in there with your ammo. Put a little note on it with a tag, with what I do, or tape or something that says, if locks removed, please replace. And I don't know if they cut them off, or if they can't get them off with their key. I think they cut them off or something like that. To look at it depends on where you go. That's why I stay out of places like Chicago and places like that. I kind of stay out of, because it seems like every time I go through places like that, Seattle, things go wrong.
Yep.
But anyway, 2 extra locks in here. That way, if your locks get cut off, they get lost, whatever. Because if it's not, this isn't shipping. It's not going to go with you. And you don't want to get to Africa and find out that all your ammo stuck in Denver or Chicago or Newark or whatever. And anyway, then what we do is, like I say, we reload. And a lot of guys are on this thing that says that, you must have your ammo in a factory box. Law does not say it has to be in a factory box. It says it has to be in a hard-sided box, or I don't think they use hard-sided, but it has to be in a box that has something to it.
Right.
And the only thing I've ever had from a guy at TSA tell me is he didn't like them rattling. He said if they're rattling, we don't like that. And so what we do is we take a piece of foam and cut it, and we stick that inside of this lid. And these are them, what are they? These are MTM cases, case guard. And just whatever, like I say, we reload, so we don't have ammo in a factory box. We put all of our ammo in there. I put her back together here, maybe. And then I use painter's tape. I tape them down shut so that the foam doesn't push them off the bullet that's in the case. And then on them somewhere I will write On this one, I just wrote on the side of it with a Sharpie, or put a piece of tape on it that says that there's 20 rounds, 300 Win Mag in it. That way, there's no question if somebody checks your ammo, which I've never had anybody check my species of ammo. They've checked how much I have, but no one's ever checked how many I really had. I guess leaving Namibia they were going to, but they never did. And anyway, that way it doesn't rattle. It doesn't rattle around much. And you put them all in your case, however they fit for you. And a word about how much ammo to take. You can take 200 rounds of ammo into South Africa, and you can take 11 pounds.
Right.
11 pounds of ammo. So be sure whatever you do, you're within that. And a lot of guys will say that, yeah, this case is going to be 11 pounds, but I'm over with my case. And 375 H&H round and up, 416s, 470s, things like that, get heavy. You can't haul near as much ammo with you.
Right.
But what happens is you think when they want to weigh your ammo, you can open your case and take the ammo out. Every time I have been checked, was only twice, on checking how much my ammo weighed, they would not let me remove it from my case. And in Seattle in 2018, I only missed that by 3 ounces. I missed my 11 pounds by I was 3 ounces under. So make sure your case and all is under the 11 pounds. That way you're just safe to go. It's easy. Now, if you got to remove that and ship it with the rest of your luggage by itself, it's got a tag on it. You got extra locks in it. You got TSA locks on the outside of it. It's hard and it's ready to ship.
Yeah.
But like I said, this can go in your, like I say, this goes in your check-on bag.
Right.
This goes in your check-on bag. So make sure you just get it in there. They may have you remove it, like I said. But other than that, that's pretty much covers the ammo. All right, now we're kind of down to some paperwork stuff here, and this mainly has to do with your guns and getting them into Africa. I highly recommend taking your own gun if you can. It is a lot simpler not to. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. We've thought about it a couple times because it is kind of a little bit of a hassle.
Right.
But I like having my own gun, and she likes having her own gun because she's familiar with it. I'm familiar with it. And then we'll cover some of these other laws and whatnot and what you have to do to kind of get this done. Anyway, we pre-clear our guns. We pay somebody to do that for us. We have shown up there with our SAPS 520 and sat there for 2.5 hours or whatever it was until we got our guns cleared. Gracie Travel. And they do all that in Texas, and then it's done. We're done with it. We don't have to. We're just dealing with them and not shipping stuff clear to Africa. So anyway, we're going to talk about a little bit of the laws and the guns and things. We already covered the guns. 2 or 3 guns you can take. You can't take 2 of the same caliber. Ammo, same way. You can only have 200 rounds or 11 pounds, and that pretty much will cover that whole deal. And I guess the next thing you'd want to talk about would be the 4457. I don't know if we talked about that before. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You need a 4457, which is a customs form. And what that customs form does is allows you to take something out of the country and return it. Africa thinks this is a license.
Yes, they do. Anyway,
you're going to need that, and you got to go to customs office, put all your information on there, your gun type, and all that kind of thing, and you can't have a gun that has a number on the receiver and a number on the barrel and they don't match.
Right.
Them 2 numbers have to match on the gun. So make sure that if you have a custom gun of some sort, it's got 2 different numbers on it, and make sure you try to figure that out where it's different. I don't know if it'd be a big hassle or not, but I've never had a gun that had 2 different serial numbers on it. And anyway, when you get this done and they stamp it with their stamp, you want to go to a notary public and you want to get 2 more copies of this. And you want the notary public to stamp her stamp with the and sign it and pay her that says that these are real copies of the real thing, and you're going to want 2 of those. And same thing with your passport. Make color copies of your passport. We kind of talked about this earlier, but make color copies of your passport, whether you're going with guns or you're not going with guns. Make 2 copies of that, and same thing. Have a notary public put their stamp on the thing, and that way, if you lose your passport or something, they say, well, this is a true copy. So that might help you there. And to do your guns, you have to have all this. You got to have your passport and things of that sort. Then the next thing you're going to have is a SAPS 520. This is an 8-page form. And it gets a little bit in depth, and it goes into a lot of things like your mother and your father. And I think, if I can't remember, it's been a long time since I filled one out, but there's a lot of stuff in there. When you pre-clear your gun, they will do all this for you except for a page or two or a place or two. And you just got to fill in a couple of things on there that they can't fill in for you. And then when they get it all done, that's all in Africa, they get it pre-cleared. Now when you walk in, they grab your paperwork, they just check your serial numbers, and they send you down the road.
Yeah.
And you're not standing around waiting for an approval on this, which can take an hour or two. I've seen it take, we had one guy come in the airport to the Afton house behind us one time, and he was 3.5 hours behind us, and he says because he didn't pre-clear his gun, he was waiting on him to do the gun clearing. To me, the $150,
oh yeah,
that's easy.
It's so worth it.
But if you have somebody do this for you, it makes your life a little bit easier. And things that got to go with this are copies of your passport, copies of your 4457 have to go with it, and then you got to have a motivation letter, which is a gun thing. I guess it just explains why you're bringing a gun to Africa, I guess, and you're going to go on a hunt, and then a motivation letter, and then you have to have a what's the other one? Invitation letter from the outfitter inviting you to be there, and it has all the names and addresses and where their hunting's at and what you're doing and all that. That's all going to be done. That is taken care of really between you. You can get that stuff. I just write my outfitter and say, hey, Gracie Travels, clear my guns, send them the paperwork and that they got to have, and that gets taken care of that way. So then earlier in one of the other videos, I talked about different laws and things that are in Africa and TSA and whatnot. And I guess I could start with, since you're going to leave the USA probably, and that brings up another point. There's guys that watch this video that aren't from the USA, and a lot of this stuff is USA. To clear a gun, if you live in Germany, you don't have a 4457. I have no idea what the requirement is. So this is kind of an American deal, sorry. But I don't have any experience with that. This is the federal firearms regulations for flying and taking guns abroad and whatnot. I print that out. I haul it with me, like I said before, in a file. And anyway, the thing is with this, it says a passenger may not transport or offer to transport and check baggage or in a baggage carried in an inaccessible cargo hold any loaded firearm, which you'd be an idiot to put in. If you haven't checked your gun out good enough to see if it's loaded or not loaded when you go to the airport, you're in trouble on this trip anyway. And any unloaded firearm, unless the passenger declares to the air operator either orally or in writing before checking the baggage that the passenger has a firearm in his or her bag and that it is unloaded, the firearm is unloaded, the firearm is carried in a hard-sided container. That's what we were talking about a minute ago on the ammo. The law does not say it has to be in a factory ammo case. And I've had this argument with a lot of people online for the last 5 years. It has to be in, and there's the law right there, 1540.113 of the federal law, Article 3, the firearm is carried in a hard-sided container. That's cut and dried. And the container in which it is carried is lockable, and the passenger retains the key or the combination to the firearm. They're not talking about ammo there. They're talking about that's a container in which the gun is carried, is locked, and only the passenger retains the key or the combination to get into it. So that's not a TSA lock. That tells you right there that is a lock only openable by you. And so that kind of covers that into that thing. That's the federal pretty much. There's more in-depth laws, but that's the ones that really kind of concern you about it. And then from there on the TSA laws, I print them out and take them, like I said. And they have all your traveler must declare the firearm. And what they'll do when you go to the airport, unless they've changed it in the last year, you go to the airport, they'll hand you a red tag where we go. And on that tag, it says that you're saying that your firearm is unloaded. And you just sign the thing and then you put it inside your gun case. So I don't know why. I don't know why that. I guess TSA opens it and looks at it. I don't know. I don't know why that goes inside your gun case. You think it'd be a piece of paperwork they didn't want to keep. But anyway, I print off all them laws, and then the firearm and ammunition when traveling, TSA. I do all that. Also, I get that out. The firearm must be unloaded and declared to the airline. That's basically pretty much all it says. And I've never had a problem. My case, when I throw 2 guns in a pair of binoculars, and a cleaning bore snake or something in there,
Right.
that thing starts pushing up on 50 pounds.
Close.
And sometimes I've been over. They've never said a word to me. And I've got a 3-gun case, it's always over.
Yeah.
The case itself is 16 pounds.
But they never charge you.
But they never charge me for it. So knock on wood, that's a
Yeah,
good
right.
that's a good thing to have. And then this is the African laws here, and there's not really much that we haven't really covered in here. Maximum rounds of 200 rounds is all that's permitted. You must be 21 to import the firearm. Barrel frame and action must be marked with the same serial number. And no semi-automatic shotguns or pistols can be taken without special permits. No self-protection firearms allowed. I'm assuming. I mean, every gun can be a self-protection firearm. So, and you must have to transit. You must have gun. You must have to transit to South Africa. You don't have to check your gun in through South Africa if you're going to Namibia and you're only there for an hour or two or whatever to catch another flight. You don't have to check your gun in. They'll just move it right along. But if you stay, I think someone told me one time, true or not, I have no idea. I think they told me 8 hours. If you're there more than 8 hours, you have to take possession of your gun and have to check it. And if you stay overnight, you definitely had to. And we had to do that when we went to Namibia. We had to check our guns in. We went to the Afton House, stayed overnight.
Right.
And so you want to do that. And you also need for them notarized copy of the photograph and signature page of your passport, which we covered that. Notarized copy of your 4457, we covered that. An invitation letter from your outfitter confirming the outfitter's license number, hunt dates. That's up to your outfitter. That's only information he can give them. You can't give them his information like that. So anyway, it's pretty much this whole thing's just that way. You must have a form authorizing application for permit on your behalf if you import a pistol or something like that, which is some guys do that. It's not that big a deal, I guess. I've never taken a pistol to Africa, but sometime and then they need a copy of your flight itinerary, and that whole thing is all done by our travel agent for the $150. That's why I say the 150. The 150 is worth it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And your gun permits and everything that you fill out, like if you fill out your SAPS 520, which is SAPS 520 is the South African police station form 520.
Right.
What they will only accept that in black ink. So if you fill that out yourself, it's got to be in black ink, or I don't know if they'll kick it out, but they just say they want it in black ink. So I don't know what problem that would cause you. And pretty much that's kind of all the stuff that a guy has to know about for getting them in. There's a lot of different ways that they come into South Africa. When you come in, used to South African Air put them in a room by themselves. You had to go to a different room and show your passport and sign this book and get your gun and haul to the police station.
Right.
Well, now South Africa Air isn't there anymore, and now Delta, United, anybody like that, Emirates, all that we've flown down there, our guns are in the police station in the airport when we get there. They haul them to there, which is probably, I guess, the simplest thing for us to do because we didn't have to find our gun.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to talk about is when you are done with your hunt and you're coming back to the U.S., you've checked all your bags in, you get back to wherever it is, if it's Atlanta, Newark, wherever you end up landing, Seattle, wherever you end up landing, you'll have to clear immigration, you'll have to clear customs, and they're going to take your gun into customs and they're going to go through it and compare your 4457 paperwork to your firearm. Now you have to take possession of all your gear. Your bags. You have to take possession of all of it. Some of it's different, some of it's not. But you will always, don't let anybody tell you any different, because I got told this one time and it ended up in a big hassle for us a couple years ago. An Emirates employee told me, no, you don't take possession of your gun. We check that back into your next flight for you. And I said, no, I've been to Africa 4 or 5 times and they've never done that. And the way I understand it, they can't do that. They can't touch your firearm and haul it somewhere. And anyway, she was like, no, that's the deal. So we got on the old subway and went across the airport. And then one of my friends on the other side said, hey, Van, your gun's sitting out here on the floor. And they did not go check it in. So back across the airport, we had to go to get that. And then that ended up for us missing our flight. And so make sure that you have a lot of layover. And with that time, we had 3 hours and we missed a flight.
Yep.
It was slow. Seattle's slow. It's monotonous sometime in Seattle. But anyway, Through Atlanta on Delta, it's been easy. Come in and clear immigration. You just stand out in front of. They got a little gun room. It's got glass walls on it. You go in there and they check your gun out. And sometimes they make you do your shoes in an insecticide so you won't spread disease and pestilence across the United States and whatever they have you do. But make sure that you're there. What we do when we do that in Atlanta, when we go to get our bags, Diane goes to get our bags. I go stand in front of the gun room because I know where it's at. I go stand in front of that room. Yep. That way she collects our bags and I'm the first one in line. So if you got a tighter layover, and like I say, if you can get 3 hours, I'll take 5. I'll take a 5-hour layover on my way back. That way I get all this stuff done, get my gun rechecked back in at the airline that I got to fly out on, and then I can go have a breakfast or a dinner or whatever time of night, day you happen to be there. But anyway, that's kind of a tricky deal. Make sure that you get that gun checked when you come back in the U.S. It can take time. But again, I will stress the amount of layover. And we're bad about that on all of our, like, this next trip we go to Denver and then we go to and then we go to Newark, and then we always take, if I can get them, I'll take a 3 or 4 hour layover. If I can get them. It makes more a longer, more miserable trip. But I'll tell you what, it lays so much pressure off of you to have them easy layovers. And there's so many times I've been in Atlanta standing there as the first one in the booth, and I've got 4-hour layover or 5. Right. And there'll be 10 guys fidgeting around behind me that didn't get in line because they didn't know to get in line that fast. And man, I'll tell you what, they're squealing and screaming, and I'm going to miss my flight, and they start yakking at each other. So a couple times I've said, hey, any of you guys that got a tight flight, and one of them was a guy who had a 45-minute layover. I'm like, dude, it don't matter what you are not making that flight. You are not making that 45-minute flight entering. And he didn't. He come wandering back a little bit later and said he was trying to book another flight. But just make sure you have a lot of layovers. It makes your life a lot easier. Yes, it does make them longer. Take a nap, go get a beer. Now, we did that one morning, 5 a.m. in Atlanta. We went and got a beer and we couldn't order lunch. We wanted a hamburger, but it was too early in the morning, and so we couldn't get that. But anyway, that paperwork, a lot of it, pre-clear your guns, it saves you a ton of work. It's $150 or something like that. When you enter Africa, use a Bid Air or somebody like that, the concierge service that will get you into the country easier through immigration. And I don't know what else we can cover on this. We probably missed a lot of stuff. I don't know. It's kind of hard to sit back and think of everything we got to cover. Right. And but I think that pretty well covers it. No guns the same caliber, 11 pounds, 200 rounds or less. And a lot of guys ask me that. How much ammo should I take? We take 60 rounds of firearm is what we typically take. And it's overkill. We've never used even close to that. No. It's overkill, but I don't want to be an African and go, I sure wish I had one more box of ammo. And I did have a guy I know, a client of mine, he was in Africa, and for some reason he was having I think in the end they found out his scope ring was actually broken. And his gun shot fine before he left home. He got down into Africa, shot a couple animals, and then he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with it. And they went back and resighted it in. Went out, shot another animal. Next animal he couldn't get, and it just went on and on and on and on. And he was borderline with 60 rounds of ammo until they finally just said, the outfitter just said, "Forget it, get here, use my gun." But when he got home, he had a broken scope ring, if I remember right, on the base somewhere. It was broken or cracked or something. It wasn't working. So I hope this helps you guys on how to get to Africa and what you got to have to do. And all airlines are different. All travel agents are different. And just play it by ear, have an adventure. And from there, I don't know if you want to add anything, or she hasn't added much anyway. But that's all right. Gives me somebody to talk to.
That's right.
So anyway, I guess that'd be the end of this series of videos, and we hope this gives you some information. I know they're boring, and I know they're long, and when I watch like how-to video type things, I fall asleep. And so just keep playing it till you get it. And like I say, there is a list of all the things that you need to take to Africa on our Outwest Sportsman's website, and of course I'll have a link to it. And hey, if you guys have any questions, you can also write us at outwestphoto@gmail.com. And that if you're stuck or you need to know something, and we'll go from there. So for now, enjoy everything wild.